Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. As we continue our reflections on our lived faith experiences, today's Do You Know question is, do you know why we sign ourselves with holy water as we enter sacred spaces? Water has always been seen as a symbol of new life, fertility, refreshment, regeneration, renewal. Water is also a sign of destruction and even death dealing. In all the religious tradition, water is revered as a symbol of regeneration and new life. In the Christian tradition, very early on, water was used, jumping off of their Jewish background and ancestors. Water was used as a sign of new life in Christ. It indicated a regeneration and new life, a new creation in Christ. And so when churches began to be established, baptismal pools were established in which immersion was the typical mode of baptism into the new life of Christ. One literally went under the water, died to self, and then rose anew out of the water to Christ, modeling the death and resurrection of the Lord and connecting to the Lord and so on. As infant baptism, the practice of infant baptism became much more common, baptismal pools were replaced with baptismal fonts, and immersion was no longer practiced, but rather sprinkling on the forehead as the key sign of baptism was indicated this new life in Christ. And as a result, baptismal fonts almost resembling bird baths were established in churches, and the entrances of churches, you had very small very small holy water fonts that were used so people could sign themselves when they went into the sacred space. As a result of this transition to these small fonts and so on, the full symbolism of the water and the immersion and the dying of self was diminished and eventually was totally eliminated. With the new directives of the Second Vatican Council and the reform of the liturgy, baptismal pools were again introduced into our churches, placed prominently at the entrances of the churches so that people could sign themselves with the water of the baptism, reminding them very much of their baptismal commitment and the relationship of signing themselves with baptismal water to indicate and connect to their baptism. Whenever we do this signing with holy water as we enter sacred spaces, two incidents are really recalled, two purposes for this action. One is the connection to our baptismal promises and our baptismal commitment. We are made new beings in Christ, so whenever we sign ourselves with holy water, we recall that living connection to Christ as the sign of new life for us. We also are connect us to the baptismal community that we are members of, where we celebrate and together recall our renewed life in Christ. The other sign that's indicated by signing ourselves with the holy water is with water, we sign ourselves with the sign of the cross. Again, the Christian symbol for love, commitment, joy, sacrifice of belonging to Christ and Christ belonging to us. So in this manner, when we sign ourselves with holy water, we are recalling our baptism and we are committed to belonging to Christ and living the way Christ wants us to. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit of why, when we enter our sacred spaces, we sign ourselves with holy water. And I hope you'll return again to more Do You Know series questions as we continue to delve into our lived faith experiences. Thank you very much.